Welcome to Egypt. Philae Temple. Legends and worship through the ages. The Philae Temple is one of the most prominent monuments in Egypt, located on Philae Island, which is located in the Nile River near Aswan. Built specifically for the worship of the goddess Isis, the temple is one of the finest examples of ancient Egyptian architecture and has a long and complex history full of myths, amazing historical events, destruction and restoration throughout the ages. The beginning. Construction of the Temple of Philae. The Temple of Philae was built in the 3rd century BCE, during the Ptolemaic dynasty, specifically under the reign of King Ptolemy II. When the Ptolemies came to Egypt, following the death of Alexander the Great, they established a Greek rule over Egypt, adopting many Egyptian customs and deities, but adding their own Greek touch to the rituals. One such ritual was the construction of temples that blended Egyptian and Greek architectural styles, and the Temple of Philae is a prime example of this fusion. The temple itself, situated on Philae Island in the Nile, was designed with multiple sections, including smaller temples, shrines, and statues dedicated to the goddess Isis, the goddess of love, protection, magic, death, and rebirth. It was primarily a site of worship for Isis, who was one of the most prominent deities in ancient Egyptian religion. She represented feminine power, compassion, and mercy, and played a central role in many Egyptian myths, especially the myth of Isis and Osiris. The Egyptian myths and the goddess Isis. The Temple of Philae is most closely associated with the myth of Isis and Osiris. According to the myth, Osiris was a wise and beloved king who ruled Egypt with fairness. However, his brother Set, filled with jealousy, conspired to kill him. Set tricked Osiris and trapped him in a coffin, which he cast into the Nile River. The coffin was carried by the river until it reached Philae Island. There, Isis, Osiris's wife, discovered her husband's body and embarked on a long journey to find it. The myth goes that Isis eventually found Osiris's body on Philae Island, and in her attempt to resurrect him, the sacred rituals and magic of the temple began. From this point, Philae Island became a symbolic location for life, death, resurrection, and renewal, and it was here that the worship of Isis and Osiris flourished. The Roman period and architectural additions. When the Romans conquered Egypt, the Temple of Philae underwent significant expansion. By the 1st century BCE, the Romans added many modifications to the temple, enlarging its inner sanctuaries and constructing additional buildings while maintaining the core Egyptian design. During this time, the temple became a major pilgrimage destination, attracting worshippers from across the Roman Empire. Persian invasion and destruction. Over time, the Temple of Philae, like many ancient sites, suffered damage from invasions and political upheaval. In the 7th century CE, following the Arab conquest of Egypt, the worship of ancient Egyptian deities declined sharply. As Islam spread across Egypt, many of the old temples, including the Temple of Philae, were abandoned or repurposed. The temple, once a vibrant religious center, slowly fell into disuse. During the Persian period, the temple also suffered from further neglect and destruction. As the influence of ancient Egyptian religion waned and the country came under foreign rule, the significance of Philae as a spiritual hub diminished. Despite this, the temple remained a site of historical interest, and local communities continued to honor its legacy. Modern destruction and challenges. In the 19th and 20th centuries, the Temple of Philae faced even more destruction due to natural forces, invasions, and neglect. The greatest threat came with the construction of the Aswan High Dam in the 1960s, which would submerge Philae Island underwater. The rising waters of Lake Nasser, created by the dam, posed an imminent danger to the temple, threatening its complete destruction. In response, UNESCO initiated an ambitious preservation project in 1972. The temple was relocated from its original site to a nearby island called Ajilkia Island. The entire complex was carefully dismantled, stone by stone, and reassembled at its new location using advanced techniques. The project was a monumental feat of engineering, and the temple was successfully saved from submersion. The Temple of Philae today. Today, the Temple of Philae is one of Egypt's most popular tourist attractions. Visitors from all over the world come to marvel at its beauty and to explore its rich history. A trip to the temple typically involves a boat ride across the Nile to the island, where tourists can walk through narrow passageways and rooms adorned with intricate carvings and reliefs depicting scenes from the myths of Isis and Osiris. The Grand Colonnade, with its beautifully preserved columns and hieroglyphs, offers a glimpse into the ancient religious ceremonies that once took place there. The island itself, surrounded by the Nile's waters, adds to the mystical ambience of the site, making a visit to Philae an unforgettable experience. The Temple of Philae remains a symbol of Egypt's ancient history, blending mythology, art, and architecture, and offering a window into the lives of the people who worshipped there for centuries. The Temple of Philae as a symbol of resurrection. The Temple of Philae is more than just a remarkable structure or a tourist destination. It is a testament to the power of faith, the ancient rituals, and the connection between humans and the divine. From the myth of Isis and Osiris to the modern-day restoration efforts, the Temple of Philae represents a story of life, death, and rebirth, a reflection of the timeless human quest for immortality and spiritual connection. Through its preservation and continued significance, the temple stands as a living symbol of the resilience of both ancient culture and modern heritage conservation.